We'll start. So we started learning what is Java. Java is a programming language, and we can able to develop the applications using Java very easily. So that's what we are about to do. So we did a very simple program just to print the welcome program. That's a welcome program. Just we did it in a earlier session. So everybody got Java in their systems, right? So install and set the path. So anybody is facing any problem there setting the path? Okay, we'll see. As we discussed, so once you close the command prompt, this path will be gone. So if you open a new command prompt tomorrow, then the path what we set in earlier session, so that will be gone. That will be available only up to the command prompt is open. So how to set a permanent path? I don't want to set the path every time. So I want to set it as permanently. So we can do it in using here. So computer properties. Open the computer properties. My PC. Open computer properties. So if you open the computer properties, you can see the advanced system settings. Open it, and here there is a option called environment variables. We need to set it permanently in the environment variables. Click on environment variables. There are different paths that are available. User variables for Shankar, that's for my user, and system variables. In the system variables, you can see the path. There is a variable called path. Select that path. Do not delete anything. Do not modify on your own anything because it is linked up with other applications that are installed in Windows. Just select the path. Click on edit. Copy paste our path. So this is a path, right? C colon. So in your system, C colon program files. Copy this path and paste at the beginning of the here. So paste. So go to the home. So paste here and give semicolon. Don't forget to give the semicolon. Just semicolon is a separator in the path. Okay, so click OK. So I will show you one more time. So open the computer properties. Then what we have to do? Advanced system settings. Then environment variables. Then from the system variables, select the path. Copy paste our path at the beginning. Click OK. So if you have any opened command prompts, close them and open a new command prompt. From there onwards, the path is set permanently. So setting path permanently. So how to set the path permanently? So open system properties and choose advanced system settings. So in the open window, what you have to choose? Environment variables. Many of you know the environment variables, but if you don't know, this is the path. Environment variables. So choose the environment variables. In the environment variables, two sections will be there. Variables for the present user and variables for system user. So in the variables for system user, choose path. So please path and click on edit. So select this path and click on edit and copy paste our bin path of Java. So C colon slash program file slash Java slash JDK 18_101 slash bin. Until bin you have to copy paste. Give semicolon after our Java. Click OK. This is how we have to set the permanent path. Once you set the permanent path, it will be available forever in your system. Open the command prompt, you can do the programs. This is very easy. Tried out the permanent path today. So if you face in, this is straightforward. If you find out the environment variables, we can put there or copy paste. So don't type the path copy paste the path, because if you type, if one spell mistake or capital letter or space something is there, definitely the path won't work. Okay, so any doubts here? Okay, we'll go back to our programming. So we just did one sample example, right? So we'll start doing or learning the core programming. So from now onwards, we'll start learning core programming. So Java is a object-oriented programming language. The first topic we are going to learn is object-oriented programming concepts. First, we will so we'll see. So we in earlier session we discussed, right? What is a simple computer program? So go back to the olden days. So the computers are invented for calculation purposes in the beginning. Then string processing. Nowadays, so we are using the computer for everything. The base concept is very simple. Give some input, okay, and we have an application for processing. So the processing app. This is the program that what we are writing. The processing application that what we are writing. App means again people will think of mobile app. This is application. So that what we are writing. Maybe the mobile app also will do the same. So we are giving some input, and our application what we are writing in Java will take that input, and it will process our application. So it will process that input and it will give the output. Always remember this concept so that we can easily break our program into simple parts, and we can easily code our programming. Okay, I'm giving input. Sometimes I need to store that input or sometimes I need to store the intermediate results. Okay, so for example, so we'll take a one simple example. So 1 plus 2 star 3 divide 3 minus 14, for example 14 we'll put like some 22 star 3 minus 14. So what is the result? First it will do the multiplication, right? So we have the hierarchy, division or multiplication, whichever is coming first. First it will do multiplication, then addition and subtraction. So it will do multiplication. It has to store 66. This is the intermediate result. Again it will add 67, so it is an intermediate result. It has to store again minus 14, so it has to store this one the answer whatever the answer that what we are getting, so 53. So it will store intermediate, so and it will return the output as 53, just like how we are doing on using a pen and paper. Assume that it is also doing so. The computer by default it does not store just like how we are writing in the paper. It needs something to store in temporarily in the memory. So those how you will store those things is variables. So variables are used to store information whenever you are processing your application. How much time it has to store, that all depends upon how we write the program. But sometime I need a intermediate result 66 is needed until I do the addition. Once I got addition is done, I don't need 66, so I will throw it away. So variables, so we need variables. What are variables? Variables are used to store information. What information? Whatever the information you wanted. So what information you are sending, or what information that the application is generating in the intermediate process while processing our application. So all that information is stored in the variables. So we need a variables to store information. Okay. So I want to define in a variable. So how we will define a variable? Definitely, the Java is a very strongly typed language. So remember the statement. We'll be using this statement some more times in our next sessions. Java is a strongly typed language. means any variable that you are defining should have a predefined or specific data type. So I need to have a specific data type. What is data type? So data type is used to specify what data that it is describing data type. So it is describing the type of the data. Generally, the type of data may be the numbers and strings, right? It's the same thing here also. But for our programming convenience, so we have 8 primitive data types that are given as a by default in our Java, 8 primitive types. Primitive type means so very old. So these are available. So here numbers without decimals are byte, short, int, long. So byte, short, int, long, these are the numbers, so without decimals. So if you want decimals, you have to go with the float and double. The difference between all these things is so byte will take 1 byte, short will take two bytes, integer will take 4 bytes, long will take 8 bytes. Internally, the how much of what is your the data that you are processing, based upon that you have to choose the database, data type. So numbers with decimals, float is 4 bytes and double is 8 bytes. So these are the numbers with and without decimals. So these are numbers without decimals. These are numbers with the decimals. And we have another one called char and boolean. Char is used to store a single character. Char occupies 2 bytes. So it's 2 bytes in Java. So in C or C++, it's only one byte. But in here, so we are having the capability of internationalization to process any type of characters, not only English. You can process Chinese characters, Japanese. So they are having more number of characters, right? So that's why it is occupying as per the ISO's ISD, and some standards are there to define the characters. So it occupies 2 bytes. No problem. Here Boolean occupies 1 bit. It's not byte, 1 bit. It is used to store true or false, just a true or false. Okay, so these are 8 primitive types. All others are, so whatever the others, you will find all others are reference types. What are others? So classes, interfaces, enums, arrays. If anything, we will come across all these things are reference types. Just remember these things we'll be using every day in programming. So these are the 8 primitive data types. So we have to start with using these types. Java is a strongly typed language. If you want to define a variable, you should know, you should specify what is the type of this variable. So whether you want it as a long value, whether you want it as a double value or a Boolean value, you should know it and you should define it. Otherwise, Java does not accept it. You should well aware while typing your program or while you complete, you just started for compilation. Before that, you should define what is your data type. So why do we need these data types? Why these many data types? So 2 data types are sufficient, numbers and strings anyway. So we'll be using only those things, right? So number, either number, string. So why these many data types means there is a purpose. How much of memory to be allocated? If I'm using marks will be marks in a subject. Definitely it will be varying from 0 to 100. If I am allocating a long means, it's occupying 8 bytes of memory and it's no use. Right? So if I'm processing a very big number like salary or salary of all the employees in an organization, definitely you should choose a big number because so it will sum up to some thousands and or lakhs of rupees. Okay, so and also what type of operations that we can perform. If it is a string data, I cannot apply multiplication. I can't apply multiplication on strings. But if it is a number, I can apply multiplication, division. So what type of operations that you can perform on these variables are decided by these data types. That's why data types are very important. Whenever you are defining any variable, you need to have a data type. So data type and variable name. So how we will define a variable? So data type. So we need to use a data type and variable. So we will give an example. So here data type is a integer and age. Age is a variable. So to store the age, integer is data type. So double salary. So here data type salary. So you want to assign the data there itself, you can assign. So default salary is for example per day. So I'm getting $300. So default salary is 300. I'm assigning the data. You can assign the data. You can define multiple variables in a single line, but in Java we'll follow few standard procedures that what we will follow in real time. So one variable is defined in a one line, but you can define multiple variables also. There are no hard and fast rules, but generally in real time we will be defining one variable in one line because it is easy. Now, whenever we are writing a program, that should be easy to understandable to everyone. If I write a program which is very complex, I only understand. That's not a good program because so I will be working in this project now. I will be moving to another project, and some other person will take care of maintenance of the project. Okay, so this is how we will define those variables. So variables are used to store the data to data that you are giving as input or to the data that is generated intermediate in the program or to hold output for some time before sending it to the actual user or before displaying it on the screen. So for all those things we will use the variables. Okay, so this variable concept is similar just like what we have in our other programming languages. That's all. Okay, so data types. So these are the data types. Decimals without decimal, numbers without decimals, byte, short, int, long, float, double with decimals, and the char is used to store a single character. Boolean is used to store true or false. I want to store a string. That the string comes and any other things comes under reference types. These are all called as primitive types. So other things are coming under reference types. So here we used a string in yesterday's session. String is a group of characters. String. This is a reference type used to store group of characters. String processing become common in nowadays programming. So you will be working these strings. We will be taking 2 or 3 sessions majorly on the strings, how to work with the string buffer builder. So many things are there. So many facilities are available for string processing, and we'll be writing so many logics to process those strings. So, but it's not a primitive data type, but it's a data type. It's of reference type. It's a predefined class. So Java is defining classes, just like 4,000 plus classes are there. If you observe in Java, so you'll come to know few classes that how to use those classes. We'll study those things. But string, so we are doing from the very beginning of our program. String is used to whole group of characters. How you will represent the strings means within the double quotes. So we'll use in Java program we'll use strings to store in the double quotes. So here I want to define a name variable. String is a group of characters. Name. So I want to assign a name or a default name. So here you have to give it in double quotes. I'm giving unknown. If you want to assign a char, so this is in single quotes. Character means only a single character. That's in a single quotes. So string is a group of characters that is in double quotes. That's fine. So I know what the data type is. I know how to define a variable, and I know what is the purpose of these variables. Okay, so we'll save. So I have the variable. So okay, I am in our example that we wrote, right? So 1 plus 22 star 3 minus 14. This is our example that we have taken. So here I know the variable. So whenever I am getting some data in, from outside, so I can able to store the variable into the variables, or whenever I'm processing intermediate operations, so I can store in a variable. So how to write the logic, where to write the logic, how to write the logic, we'll learn it, where to write the logic, actions or logic, everything is written inside methods. Okay, I have to write a logic, man, calculation or processing, any actions I have to take. So whatever the logic or actions you want to write, you have to write inside the methods. Okay, so I need to define a method. So, so we call it as functions in our C or C++ programming, but here in Java we specifically call them as methods. So there are no global methods. We just discussed one very important point in yesterday's session. Each and everything is written inside a class. So everything is written inside a class. So now I want to write some logic. Where you will write? Definitely you need a method. Methods are used to describe the behavior or action or logic, what you want to perform, what you want to do operations. So anything is written inside the method. Any logical statements where you will put inside a method. So how to define a method? This is method signature, a return type, and a method name. If you want any pass parameters, params, uh, syntax is I am typing it, opening curling bracket, closing curling bracket. I need to hold a group of statements, right? A block of statements, opening curling bracket and closing curling brackets. Methods don't need to end with semicolon. Only statements ends with semicolon. So you don't need to give semicolon here. So opening curling bracket and closing curling bracket. So we'll write down. So return type, what this method is returning an integer value. So see here, all these are in small letters. All primitive types are keywords. All these are in small letters. All keywords in our Java are small letters. Okay. So integer. So return type is integer. So I want to return integer. So method name is calculate is my method name. So parameters I am passing is you can pass some parameters, or you don't want to pass any parameters. So this is how we will write opening curling bracket and closing curling bracket. This is where inside this I will write down the logical statements or actions, what you want to perform, what this is doing. We will be writing this method inside the method. If you don't have anything to return, I am printing it. If you don't have anything to return, then we will use a void. Void is also written type, saying that I am not returning anything. Void means not returning anything. So void print data. So here I want to give name, string name. If I give the name, so I will be writing some logic to print something here. Here this is a parameter, so I am passing a parameter. This is a method. So this group of statements comes under this method. So what is the purpose of the method? Methods are used to hold a group of statements which is used to perform some actions. If you want to write any logic, where you have to write inside the method. Just open a class and start writing the logic, that's not good. So you have to write down the logics inside a method. Yesterday also we saw one method, right? Main method. What is the main method? Main method is the starting of our program. That's also a method. It is having a return type, it is having a method name, it also has a parameters. Parameters are optional. If you want to give the parameters, you can give the parameters. If you don't have the parameters, we can avoid. So what data types I can give? I can give any. Void is extra thing. So void specifies that I am not returning anything. Any primitive types or reference types can be given as a data type here. Void plus primitive types plus reference types. Okay, so any doubts up to this part? So you already know what are the variables. Maybe few of you maybe this is a kind of refreshment. So everybody knows the C programming, right? So functions, variables, all those things, you know it, but we'll be doing simple examples of variables. So because these are every day we just writing them, so it's good to know what these things are. So anybody is having any doubt in these things? Variables, primitive data types, reference types, but reference types we will come across. So we just saw an example of reference type is string. String is a predefined class, but we can also write our classes and we can use them as data types. Those are called as reference types. And so how to write a method, what is a method and what is the purpose of the method. Anyone has any doubt? So okay, so we'll discuss what we learned. So Vinay, what is a variable? Hello, Vinay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what is a variable?
Oh, variable.
Yes.
Uh, say fix.
So whatever you understood, just give in your own words. No need of uh, a hard definition. So no need. So you have to understand, and you have to express what you understood. That's all.
Variable is which we given the fixed pattern
Okay. For what?
having a for a program.
Okay. So maybe you understood, but you are just put your thing in a different wording. So
Okay.
fixed pattern for a program may not be the correct thing. Try it out one more time. Okay, no problem. So
Uh,
variable is
okay.
used to store data. Simple. What kind of data that you want to store? Input data, intermediate data, output data. Right? So the computer program is of taking the input, processing it, and giving it as an output to the user. To hold some data, so in memory, where it is holding in memory. So that is a variable. Okay, so Rohit, what are data types? Yes, Rohit. Please respond fastly. So we learn about variables and data type. What is data type? So Nandita.
Data types are like uh, int and all, like defining a variable. They are for defining a
Data types are
variable.
used for defining a variable. Why I need a data type?
Like if you want to allocate character, you need specific length of memory. Or if you need some integer to be stored, you need some other length of memory.
Yes, correct.
Like it defines the length of memory, how much you need for each.
Yeah. Data types are describing what type of data you want to store. So why I need that type? So I want to store everything as a string. But if you store everything as a string, if you want to perform some calculations, then that's not good, right? So I need to know what is the type of the data so that I can apply operations on that. So can I apply addition, multiplication, division, storing, apply some mod uh, or square root? So I want to apply those things cannot be applied, all those things cannot be applied on the string. So we need a specific types to perform specific operations for processing our data. And data types describes that the type of the data, what operations that you can perform in the data. And also different types are there. Based upon our purpose, we will choose a specific data type so that the memory will be allocated small or large. Okay, Srikant, what are different data types that we come across?
Yes, sir. We come across byte, short, int, long are
Yeah.
the without decimals, and with decimals we came across with float and double,
Yes, correct.
and we have characters and boolean.
Yeah, char boolean, correct. Okay,
Yes,
those are all primitive types. What are reference types? Remaining
reference
all
types
are
are,
eight primitive types are there. Remaining all are reference types. What are the
yes
examples?
sir. For examples for the reference types are classes, interfaces, enums, and what we call we even string also the reference type.
Yes. String is a predefined class,
Yeah.
so it is an example of reference type because we are using string everything everywhere.
Yes sir.
Good. So Manoj, what is method?
Method is no, it's the logic which we are applying.
Yes. So method is a group of statements. So we'll use a opening curling bracket and closing curling bracket for the method to hold a group of statements. What is the purpose of this method is to provide some logic to do some action. All actions and logics are written inside this method, and it consists of group of statements. How many number of statements you will write based upon the purpose. Okay, so Manikanta, so what is the return type? What is the return type where we are using it? Mahesh. Maybe Manikanda is facing a problem with audio. Mahesh.
Uh, it is used to return a
Yeah, so
statement
it is used to
value.
return something from that method, and if I don't have any return anything to return, what I will do?
Uh,
I don't have anything to return. What is my return type of a method?
void.
Correct. So void is my return type. Okay. Uh, we learned about the variables. We learned about how to write. So we'll write an example. Everything is written inside a class, right? So in our Java program. So what is class now? So it's a very simple now. So class consists of variables and methods. Variables. So what is the purpose of variables? Variables are used to hold the data. Okay, methods are used to write the logic. If you write some variables and write some logic and put everything inside a class, that's nothing but a class. So to understand it in a programming perspective, okay, what class consists? Class consists of variables and methods. To understand it more formally, so variables here class is used to define the state and the behavior. So variables are used to hold the state. State means some data. So age is 30, for example. What is the state? State of age is describing that it is a 30 for a person. It is he is of 30 years old. Variables are used to define the state and methods. So we are writing the logic, right? So by using that state, I can define the behavior through the methods. So class defines a state and the behavior. Okay, simply informally we can say what class consists. Class consists of variables and methods, but a little formally, so class is having a state and behavior. State is represented through variables and the behavior is represented through methods. Now we know about the class. It's not a big deal. All object oriented programming concepts are very simple, uh, but we just have to understand them. Okay, what class consists? Class consists of state and behavior, and state is represented through how you will define a state. So variables, how you will define a behavior are through the methods. So we'll see an example. So person, we'll write a class called person. So class name, opening curling bracket, closing curling bracket. Class is a container for variables and methods. Variables define the state and methods define the behavior. Okay, I am writing a person. So how I define a person's state? Using the variables, right? I want to define name, string name. Okay, integer age. Okay, I want to use a double. The person, we can say it as a height. Okay, again string blood. You can use address, all those things. So we'll discuss. So this is an example. This is how I am defining it. All these variables are used to represent the state of a person. The person is having a name, age, height, and blood group. So I want to assign a few things here. Name. I want to assign so name is age as so strings we will be giving in double quotes, all in numeric, so we don't give any quotes, so we will give directly. So here I will be giving like 25 and height. So height is a double value, so I want to give like 5.6, and the blood groups over here. Again, it is a string, so you have to give it in double quotes. So the person class is describing the state, so it is going to store all these things in the memory, all the data that is assigned uh, uh, for these variables are stored in the memory. So this is a describing the state. I want to print all of them. The behavior is the person behavior is I'm writing a method to print it. You can write as many variables as you wish in a person class and as many methods as you wish based upon your purpose. So here I want to write down void print data. So I want to print everything, system.out.println. So here so what is the behavior it is describing? So you can write so my behavior or my action is to print whatever the data that is assigned to the person. Java is a object oriented programming language. So each and everything in Java is represented or written as classes. So as well as we are discussing, everything is written inside a class. Everything is represented inside a class. We can describe so you want to represent a laptop, or you want to describe a laptop. So how you will write? Definitely you need a class. You need to write class laptop. And what are the variables you want to store the data, and what are the methods to apply the logic? I want to define a car. I want to define a watch. I want to define a machine. I want to define a product. Right? Everything is represented or written inside a class through the variables and methods. Variables are used to store the, or variables are used to describe the state, and methods are used to describe the behavior. Okay, how should I use this class? I have a class. No, I know, from the beginning I have to write everything inside a class. I know the variables to store the data. Whatever the data you want to like it, you can store the data. So methods, so used to write the logics. How to use it? So in an object-oriented programming, so Java is a object-oriented program, right? So everything is written inside a class, and these classes are used by creating an objects. So what is an object? Object is an instance of a class. Instance means copy. So here I have a person. Okay. So person may be Shankar, person may be Avinash, person may be Mahesh, person may be Manoj, person may be Nandita, person may be Madhuri. Right? So I need all 12 of us. I need to create 12 objects, 12 copies of the same class. Yes, how you will create? Using an object. Object is nothing but an instance of a class, a copy of a class. A copy is created for every one of us. Where this copy is created? In the RAM. Definitely in the RAM. So a copy is created for Shankar, copy is created for Rohit, the copy is created for Vinay. So in separate memory locations. So class is like a blueprint. It is describing the state and behavior, blueprint, and object is a copy of the blueprint, or instance of the blueprint. So whenever I get a copy of it, so I can manipulate the data, I can process some information using these objects. Okay, so how to create an object? Use the new operator. New is a keyword in our Java, so we have to use the new operator to create an object. We'll see an example now. So understanding this one is very important, because we have to do the programming in the classes starting from now all the way to the advanced programming. Wherever you go, so we have to start writing these classes objects. Okay, let's write down a program. So first, so let's go to that. So let's create a folder so that uh, so I'm just creating a folder. Okay, I want to write down a class here. So I want to write down here. I will store all programs here itself. So I want to create one more directory core. So we'll do it here. In the core programs, I want to create it. So how to create a program? So check the path here. So I have the path. So how to check the version? Java C. This is Java C is a compiler, right? So version. So because of this first day, so we'll be checking whether the path is set. So Java hyphen version. Okay. So we are setting the path and everything is there. So I want to write down the program here. So I switch it to one of the folder so that I will store I will store all programs here. Notepad. So open the notepad. So I want to write a person class. Person. I want to write a extension. Extension should be compulsory. If you forget the extension, our compiler does not recognize our program. So you have to give .java, person.java. Okay, so everything is written inside a class person, and it is having some variables. So what variables I will define? So let's define the variable. String name. I don't want to assign any of things because I need copies. So if I assign it, the data is populating everywhere. I don't want to assign anything. Okay, so integer age. So double height. Float weight. So I just want to give few variables to use different data types. So Boolean is programmer. So Boolean is used to represent true or false. These are my variables. Variables are used to store the data. So I have the variables. I want to print that. So my action is just to print it. So void, I'm not returning anything from this method. Just I'm printing it. Print percentage. This is my method. Methods are having opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. And I want to print. So how you will print the data? So Ashok, I want to print some data on the console. How you will print them? Ashok. Okay, Avinash, how you will print the data on the console? Krishna Madhavi. So did you remember yesterday we print welcome statement, right? Welcome to Java program.
Oh, yes, sir.
So yes, how to print that one? What statement we used? Okay, so we use a system.out.println.
System.out.println brackets.
Yes. So inside which I want to print whatever the things that we have. So name, I want to print another thing. Yeah, I'm writing another one. So another one. So integer here I want to print age. I want to print height. I want to print weight. I want to print is programmer. So save the program. So here I have written my class. So Avinash, what is this class? What is the class? So we discussed the class, right?
It defines name like
Yes. What are
size
all
of
these?
the
Age, height, weight. Uh,
height. Yes.
Pardon? What are these things? These are variables, right?
Variables.
Yes. So what is the purpose of those variables?
To define a program.
Variables are used to define a program. No. Uh, Try it out one more time. So what is the, I define name, height, weight. What is the purpose
To
of?
store the information or to store the
Yes,
data.
correct. Store the information, and in class, how these are useful for a class? To store information, correct? So how these are useful for a class? How these are useful for a class? So these variables, whatever the variables are used to represent the state of a person. Okay. Okay, Mahesh. I completed writing person class. How can I use this person class? Hello, Mahesh. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh yes, I wrote this class, right? So you understand what the class is.
Yeah.
So how can I use this class? Yep. Anyone? Where can we use this class? Or how to use this class? Where to use this class? Manos,
To define class of a person
to
or
define.
any object.
Oh yes. How to use this class means by creating an object. There's a general rule in any object-oriented programming language. You have a class, use it by creating an object. So what is an object? Nandita, what is an object?
It is an
It's an
instance of a
instant of
class.
Instance of a class. What is instance? Instance is nothing but a copy. Where it is getting created, the copy is getting created in the memory. Okay, fine. I know how to create an object. So use a new operator. Okay, so we'll use a new operator to create an object. Where to create an object? Definitely. So you can create inside a main method. Where to write this main method? You can write in the same class or in a different class. Because we are starting our program, we are in the beginning of our programming. So we will write the main method also in this class. Okay. So you can write the main method in a separate class also. So main method is having a predefined syntax: public static void main string args. Okay, so now I want to create an object. So how to create an object is a new operator, right? New person. So this is how you will create an object. This is a creation of object. I want to store this object so that I can assign the data or I print the data. So here, this is how we'll assign it: person p. So person p is equal to new person. So here person p. So this is a variable. P is a variable of what is the type of the variable? Person type. Person is a class. So this is a reference type. So except parameter types, all are reference types. So person is a class. Classes are of reference types. P is of variable. P is a variable of type person. And if you give like this is variable. This is not object. It does not have anything. Okay, so I want to create an object and push it into the P. So to make use in the programming reference, so new person. So whenever you give, then only the object is get created. New person is creating the object in this. Whenever it encounters a new person, the JVM creates or allocates a memory location for this person class and put all those variables there. Okay, I want to access the variables and methods. You can access the variables and methods of a class using the object using dot operator. Dot. So variable person dot name. You can assign or print something. So assign. I want to assign some name is equal to Ashok. So we'll give few new names p dot age. So this is 20. So p dot height. So 5.8. This is a double means variables, numbers with decimals. So is programmer, so I want to give is programmer true. So this is a boolean value, you can give true or false. This true and false both are keywords, and you should not use quotations here. True is a keyword, so I am assigning is dot is programmer is true. That is a here. So I am giving that. So okay, so I want to p dot print person data. So this, what is this one? This is a method. So you can access the variables and the methods of a class using a dot operator. So you created an object. If you have an object, then you can access the variables or methods using dot operator. Variable, the object name. So this p dot name, p dot age, p dot print data. So dot operator is used to access the variables and methods. So any doubts here? Okay, I'm assuming, so if you don't have any doubts, I'm assuming that everybody is following. Okay, I need to compile my class, so make sure that you saved your class. Save. So compile. How to compile? Java C. File name dot java person dot java. Okay, so check it out. This dot class file has been created. Yes, and now. So I want to execute. Java is the command to execute. Main method class name. I am writing the everything in the same class person. So main method is there in the person class. Main method class name. You have to give person. I am getting a show 5.8. True, will modify this program in the next session, but we will revise what we learned. So because we are learning the basic concepts, and because these are very important to write down the program, so we'll revise what these things are. What is a variable? Variable is used to hold data. So in our program, what are the variables that are available? Name, age, height, weight is programmed. What are methods? Methods are used to hold the actions, logics. So you can't write this system.out.println outside the method. You should have a method to write down any actions or logics. So my method is printing the person. So here my action is to print the information, whatever the information I am giving into the console, so that it will be displayed as a output to the user. Main method. What is the purpose of the main method? It is a starting point of our program. If you want to start your program, so the main is a method that you should have it. What is a class? A class is used to have some name. So class is having a name, person is name here. So class is having a name, class is having state, and the class is having a behavior. State is represented through variables and behavior is represented through methods. Okay, so how to use this class? Whenever you are writing a class is a blueprint of information. You can use that class so you can use that blueprint by creating an object. What is an object? Object is an instance of a class. So how to access the variables? You can create, can I create another object? Yes, we can create another object. I just want to do system.out.println. So if I am not giving anything in the brackets, it will print an empty line. So here I want to create another one. Person P1. I want to write down in a different manner here. New person. Both are same. So I am breaking in 2 lines. That's all. So this is this everything is in a single line. This is in 2 lines. That's all. I define the variable, then I'm creating an object and assigning it to the variable. So anything is fine. So both represents the same thing, but here it is in 2 lines, it is in single line. Both are same. Now I want to assign p1 dot name is equal to, how do we, p1 dot age is equal to 20, p1 dot height is equal to 5.8 p1 dot print percentage. So let's check it out what we are getting. So don't forget to save the program. Save. Sometimes if you save the program, you will get old output. Always think why, what happened. If you change something, you should have to compulsorily you should compile your program. Otherwise, changes will not take effect. So then execute. Java C is the command used to compile your program. Java is the command to execute. So I'm getting the data. You can create as many instances as you wish. Okay, lot many points we learned. That is the homework for you today. So if you have any doubts, come up with the doubts. So any doubts? Okay, if you don't have any doubts, the homework is identify one class. So take a separate class for each of you. So write down identify the variables. So this is identify a class. I want to write a laptop class, I want to write a desktop class, I want to write a mobile class, I want to write a car class, whatever your motorbike, vehicle, shape, aeroplane, whatever the class you want it, you can write. Identify a class. For that particular class, identify the variables. What variables you want to identify? For example, it's a laptop. What is the manufacturer name? What is the RAM capacity? What is the processor? What is the keyboard type? What's the mouse? So what is it a gain function enabled? So what is the inches in the monitor? So identify the variables, as many number of variables as you wish, and write down a method. Write a method to print all the variables that you are defining. All the variables you are identifying that all the variables. Write down a method to print all the variables that you define, and write a main method just like how we did with the person. Don't write the person class, I already written, right? So write a main method to use the above class, just how I used it. So write a main method, assign the data to the variables, print the data, print that, call that one. The same thing that what I have done in today's session, but take a different class and try to do it as a homework. Send the homework when you finish. Send the homework to my mail ID. So I will be verifying it and I will be sending you any comments are required, and I will help you if you face any problems. So don't send, just type and don't send it. So type, compile your program, execute it, see the output, then only send it to me. Okay, so today we learned a lot. We will revise everything tomorrow also, because we are doing yes, Shrikant, do you have any doubts?
No, I don't have any doubts.
Okay, so fine. So identify your own class. Take your own class and do this exercise. Okay. Okay, so we'll meet in tomorrow session. So if you don't have the JDK, please download immediately, install it, and set the path and do this exercise. So please uh, do the assignments as soon as possible whenever we complete our sessions. So it will be very helpful to